I don't know if you've ever had these gummy bears. The Albanese gummy bears. So good, dude. So good. Literally one of my favorite candies. And I don't eat a lot of candy because I don't like to. Like, I would eat it all the time if I could, but I know better. So I try not to eat too much candy, but I had a sweet tooth yesterday, so I just had to go to the store and get some. And it was well needed. Oh. But anyway, I hope that you are doing absolutely fantastically amazing today. For those of you who are returning viewers, welcome back. And for those of you who've never seen my face, never seen one of my videos, my name is McKenna. I own a digital media company called Studio SB Creatives. And today, I'd like to welcome back everybody to their regularly scheduled program. I know that I made a video about there not being a video last week. Like I said, my life has been just a little bit crazy, very busy. I've been working a lot, so I haven't had the time to put the effort into these videos like I want. But like I said, I know that this little string of busyness is not gonna last. I know it's temporary, especially when it's in the peak months of what I do. So with that being said, I now have a little bit of time to actually record this video and put together some things and talk about some things. So as you saw from the title of the video, I'm sure, I actually shot my first concert show type thing, whatever you want to call it. A friend of mine who makes music and a couple of his friends who make music were doing a little showcase, and they invited me to go. And I didn't know if I was going to go, but basically at the last minute, I was like, you know what? This would be a really cool opportunity for me to do something that I've never done in the process of supporting a friend. So I brought my camera to the show and I shot my first concert. And from that, I wanted to not only share my experience, but I also wanted to share a couple things that I learned. So just to give a little bit of background, a little bit about my experience, there was a learning curve for sure, but I had an absolute blast. It was fun. You know, it was a smaller show. My friends aren't famous yet, but I mean, there was like maybe 80 to 100 people there. So it was a good size audience. You know, they performed for I think like little over 3 hours. And, you know, I saw some friends that I haven't seen in a while. I saw a couple other people that I was acquainted with, and it was just all around a very good time. And I was really happy to see one of my best friends perform, so that was also very cool. I hadn't seen him perform since, like 2018, 2019 at this point, so it's been some years, but it was definitely super cool. So moving into the things that I learned though, first things first, you know, whenever you do something new, you're never going to be good at it right off the bat. There's always going to be something to learn. There's always going to be hurdles that you didn't expect or that you just didn't know existed. So there were a couple things that I had to deal with, and I figure what better way to deal with those things than to talk to you about them and maybe help you not make the same mistakes that I did. I don't know if you would consider them mistakes. I mean, I think it was just things I didn't know or things that I had to accept. So without wasting any time though, let's just get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how when shooting a concert, I know that some people are probably going to hear this and freak out because photographers are weird that way. But when shooting this type of event, when shooting something fast-paced where your people are moving around and you're moving around, I honestly think that zoom lenses are going to be your best friend. My primary lens, which I use for all my videos, for what I use for 90% of my photography, is a 24-70, and it worked perfectly. It did everything that it needed to do. It performed exactly how I needed it to. Plus, I was shooting a smaller venue, so it's not like I needed anything super wide or something that had a whole lot of reach, like a 70 to 200. That would have been overkill for this size space. But having a zoom lens gave me the ability to get a lot of different options and angles from my pictures that a prime lens probably would have been able to give me, but depending on what lens it was, I probably would have had to kind of be up in the artist's face while they were performing, and I mean, I don't know, some artists might not care, but for me, that's a no-no. I did not want to be up in their face while they were trying to do what they needed to do while they were up there for all those people. Like, I feel like if I was up in their face, not only would I have been a distraction to them, but I would have been a distraction to the audience. And that's just not a good way for anyone to enjoy the show. You know, with the photographer running up in front of everybody, like, dude. Now, I think that if you had like an 85 mil, you might have been able to get away with it, but I think that's pretty much the only one that you might be able to get away with. 100 on a slightly bigger venue, but definitely an 85. But my 24 to 70 in like a small, medium-sized venue, that it did what it needed to do. So that's going to kind of lead us into the second thing that I learned, which is if you're going to shoot a concert, you're going to have to get comfortable running some laps, okay? Like, I know personally, I was everywhere all at once, and I was there at multiple times. You know, I was on the right side of the stage getting pictures. I was in the back behind all the people getting pictures. I was in the crowd getting pictures. I was under the artist getting pictures. I was on the left side. I was behind the artist. Like, I was constantly running laps around the stage, getting a variety of shots, because why would I go somewhere for 3 hours to take the same picture 100, 200,000 times? What would be the point? If you're going to shoot a concert, don't be the person who stands in one or like 3 different places and just gets all the same photos the entire time that they're there. You will probably hate yourself, and when you go to send in the photos of the people who are performing, they're probably low-key going to hate you too. So, yeah, you know, run some laps. And that's actually going to take us into the third thing that I learned, which is something I would usually actually recommend against, but in this case, not necessarily just concerts, but where things are super fast-paced and constantly happening and you're only going to get one chance to do it. Don't be afraid to overshoot. It was 3 hours. I took like 3,000 photos, and from those 3,000 photos, probably a tenth of them were worth saving at all, and even some of those were like slightly out of focus, or the lights were slightly overexposing the people. You know, they're not all going to be perfect, but overshoot in these moments, because like it's a lot easier to go back, make some notes, put some 5 stars, whatever you got to do on all the good photos, and then just wipe the rest. And I would honestly say that I'm a pretty well experienced photographer. I mean, I've been doing this a couple years at this point. And for most scenarios, like senior portraits, whatever, I'm usually posing people and I might overshoot a little bit, but like I've gotten way better at it. I know that newer photographers tend to overshoot a lot more, but even for somebody like me who is constantly using their camera every single day, shooting people, shooting things, like there's no way whatsoever that if I hadn't overshot, that I would have walked away with the already small amount of good photos that I had. Do not be afraid to overshoot. Yes, when you upload all those photos, it's going to be daunting and you're going to not want to go through them. But realistically, when you know what you're looking for, when you see a good photo and you can kind of just get rid of the rest, it's actually a pretty simple process. But when people are constantly moving around, jumping around, things are happening, I don't care how good you are, taking 1 or 2 photos and then moving on to like the next location or the next person or the next angle or whatever, they're not going to turn out that great. You are not that lucky. You are not that guy. Just overshoot. Bite the bullet. Hate yourself later for all the time that you have to go through the photos, but thank yourself for the fact that you actually got some good photos. And with that being said, we'll just kind of move on to the next thing. So one thing that I want to cover is that when you're shooting concerts, there's going to be a common theme, usually. And that's that they're dark. They are in dark rooms, they are in dark spaces, they are happening at night. And that's so that, you know, the screens or the lights or fireworks, fire itself, can kind of play its part in the performance and be accentuated. So with that being said, for anyone who knows about cameras, shooting in the dark, kind of hard to do. Like, lighting is a very important aspect of photography, and when there is a lack thereof, it makes the job that much harder. And not to mention, when things are moving faster in the dark, that just makes things even more difficult. So one thing that I kind of had to suck up, and that a lot of photographers are going to have to suck up if they're going to shoot concerts, is that you're going to have to deal with noise. Sorry, I was shooting at like 10,000 ISO the entire night. Sometimes I got lucky and was shooting at 8. Sometimes I was shooting at 12. It really just depends. But that is one thing that you're going to have to be okay with. I know that I personally am somebody who likes to add in my grain afterwards, after I get the crystal clear, perfect pictures, but that's just not going to happen here. That's not going to happen in this genre of photography. Like I said, you're shooting something fast-paced and in dim or dark lighting. So noise is just, it's not going to be your friend, but it's definitely going to have to be something that you're going to have to deal with when editing your photos or when going back through your photos. And I mean, honestly, there's softwares nowadays that can kind of denoise the photos. So, you know, if you find some really strong candidates and you just want to kind of run them through some software to help get rid of some extra noise, I say go for it, do that, try your best, but that's beside the point. Just know that if you're going to shoot something like that, that noise is going to have to be something you deal with. The sooner you accept it, the sooner that you can just get on with the rest of your life. And that's going to kind of lead us into the last thing that I want to talk about, which is that when shooting concerts, when shooting something fast-paced, when shooting something that is only going to happen once, you're going to have to accept some hard truths. And that's going to be that not all your photos are going to be good. No matter how good you think you are, you're probably still not that good, especially when doing something new. Your photos are not going to look how you're used to them looking. I know that a lot of my photos, like I talked about in the beginning, turned out overexposed or underexposed or had a little too much movement, or sometimes you just capture the wrong moment. But, you know, what are you going to do? You can't just constantly hold the shutter down and take a trillion photos and capture everything. You could take some video and hope that you can pull a still from it, but when things happen that you don't anticipate, you're just going to have to kind of move on, and maybe it'll happen again, maybe something similar will happen, but just understand that when you're doing this, not everything's going to be perfect, and that you should really just be trying your best to make the most out of whatever situation that you're in, which is more applicable to more than just concert photography. But if you are planning to shoot a concert, my advice to you is there's going to be some things that you're going to have to deal with when you are actually sitting there going through the photos, and you might only have just a couple great moments. That's enough. Just make sure that you are having fun while you are doing it, because the hard truths are only hard if you let them be hard. So with that being said, I think that's where I'm going to end the video today. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you want to talk about any techniques or anything that I talked about within this video, go ahead and drop me a comment. And if you want to keep seeing my face, you want to see more content like this, or you want to see what other crazy adventures I get up to in the future, because there will be some crazy adventures, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, I'm about to sign off. But before I do that, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be tagging the artist in the description who performed. We had, I can never remember how to say his artist name. It's like Stygian? I can't remember. I am so sorry. Tony, if you're seeing this, my bad, dude. I'm so sorry. I butcher it every time. I don't know how to say it. We also had Barely Trev and Jake Luke, who were headliners. And then my personal friend who headlined the entire show, Eon Zero. Him and I have actually made a couple songs together if you want to check those out. I know that that's not something I talk about a lot on this channel, or if I've ever mentioned it at all, but yeah, I make music. So I'll be tagging them all in the description, and then I'll also be just throwing up a couple extra photos that I took. So I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. 'Cause I'm bleeding.